Hi, I'm Jeff Murrah. I want to welcome you to True Texas History, where today we're going to talk about the Lee-Peacock Feud, because today is June the 13th, and on this day, back in 1871, Lewis Peacock was killed, and with his death came the end of the feud. Now, during the time after the War of Northern Aggression, you found a lot of issues going on in Texas with Reconstruction, and you also found many of the feuds, like the Mason County War, Sutton-Taylor feud, and Lee-Peacock feud going on. Now, in the story of the Lee-Peacock feud, it starts before that. As it looked like war was heating up, you had two friends. You had Bob Lee and you had Lewis Peacock. They had known each other, and they were up there in what they call the Five Corners area of Texas. And they call it the Five Corners because part of Fannin County, Grayson County, Collin County, and Hunt counties come together. And I know some of you are saying, gee, that's just 4 counties. Why is it 5 corners? Well, it's 5 corners because Collin County has 2 corners there. So if you ever get asked that on trivia, now you know. And when the war was heating up, Bob Lee went ahead and joined the Southern cause, whereas his friend Lewis Peacock was leaned toward the North, and he was of the Unionist sentiment. Now, as the war went on, Lewis Peacock, with his Union activities and some of his Unionist friends, they went ahead and spent a lot of the war hiding out in the thickets, more specifically Wildcat Thicket up in that area. Now, thicket in that area is a lot of trees, a lot of undergrowth, almost impassable. And it was a convenient hideout for outlaws, Union men who were hiding from the runaway Confederate soldiers. There were all types in these thickets, and it's pretty wild country up there in North Texas, because in this Five Corners area there's a series of several thickets, which is where a lot of the action occurred. And even before the war ended, the unrest in the area was so pronounced that one of the Texas generals went ahead and arranged for William Quantrell of Quantrell's Raiders to come down to North Texas and attempt to clean out the thicket. And it ended up causing more problems than it did provide solutions. And so Quantrell and his men were asked to leave. In fact, he was probably running ahead of the law because of some of the things that supposedly happened. And also during the war, although Bob Lee joined Confederate service and was in the 9th Texas Cavalry, he found himself making frequent trips to Texas to obtain mounts. Now, when the war ended, Bob Lee came home, and Lewis Peacock decided to go ahead and join with the Northern forces and worked with the Union League and also the Freedmen's Bureau on going ahead and bringing about a lot of changes. And one night, apparently, Lewis Peacock and some of his friends went ahead and ambushed Bob Lee, and in ambushing him, he was taken to a thicket and robbed of a gold piece and then under duress, he was supposed to sign essentially like a promissory note where he agreed to leave Texas and to pay the bearers $2,000 in gold. And this was written, since they didn't have ink, they used gunpowder and water, mixed it together, used kind of a toothpick thing to go ahead and make this little deed. And then promptly Peacock and his men went ahead and shot Bob Lee and left him there for dead. Bob Lee didn't die. One of the local doctors went ahead and nursed him back to health, and Bob Lee and his family went ahead and hired the best lawyer that they could at the time. I believe it was a fellow by the name of Bob Taylor. And when the issue went to trial in Bonham, Texas, they prevailed, and no one ever collected the money. This, by some authors, is considered the starting point of the feud. I would have thought it started when he got shot and left for dead, but there was a series of killings and hangings between the two factions. Peacock's men went ahead, one of them was paid $300 to go ahead and kill the doctor that worked on Bob Lee. So, I mean, not just tried to kill people and leave them for dead. They shot the doctor, killed him, and both of them pretty much went into hiding in terms of dealing with the issue and trying to get reprisals on each other. After Peacock was fingered, he went into hiding as well, and then he managed persuading the general in charge of Texas, a fellow by the name of General J.J. Reynolds, to go ahead and offer a reward for Bob Lee, and that brought in a bunch of bounty hunters, and it's kind of funny, they brought in some guys from Kansas, and the three guys from Kansas that went bounty hunting Bob Lee were all found on the road dead, and Bob Lee was still alive. Bob Lee survived that episode. He was later killed by a fellow by the name of Henry Boren. Henry Boren went ahead and shot him. And then Henry Boren, since he was on his way to a party, he went on to the party. I know recently there was an episode in the news about some fellow that had an altercation in a parking garage, killed another fellow, and then went on to his engagement. So this is nothing new. This happened back in the 1860s, 1870s as well. And Henry Boren went to the dance. I believe it was the next day that one of his cousins, who happened to be a friend of Bob Lee by the name of Bill Boren, went ahead and shot Henry Boren on the porch. And then Bill Boren supposedly, after that episode, went ahead and rode with a fellow by the name of John Wesley Hardin for a while. Eventually, Peacock himself was killed, and with the death of Peacock on June the 13th, 1871, the feud came to an end. Now, I know I took some shortcuts there. In all, I believe there were like 53 people that ended up losing their lives in this feud. And as you can tell, it is one of those things that had a cast of many people. Now, in terms of Bob Lee, there's a monument located at his grave. There's also one located at Lewis Peacock's grave. Now, it just so happens that in terms of Peacock, he was killed by three men. There's some speculation one of those men may have been John Wesley Hardin. I don't know if that was the case, but they did leave a message: "We killed the bird, now you can dress it." And such is the story of the Lee-Peacock Feud. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to put them below. I'll be glad to get to them. Feel free to go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Good talking to you again, and as time permits, we'll head on into the other feuds. So until next time, vaya con Dios, my friends. Goodbye.